about whether to raise rates. I know, of course, you're looking at the big picture about, pulling down inflation and so on. Are you also thinking about things like how many households are going to struggle to meet their mortgage repayments if you rise by, say, 25 or 50 basis points?
We certainly are, and we spend a lot of time looking at the disaggregated data because we know that even the increases in interest rates so far are putting pressure on some families' budgets. They're coping with higher interest rates, higher fuel prices, higher food prices. So we know already there are some households that are finding it difficult. I also know there are some households who welcome higher interest rates. For the past 4 or 5 years, each week I would get letters from people complaining that interest rates were so low and it was hurting their finances. So different households are in different positions, and the Reserve Bank staff spend a lot of time trying to understand that. At each of our board meetings we discuss the various experience by the households. In the end of the day, though, that our responsibility is a national one. We want to make sure that inflation is low and stable, the country gets to full employment, the financial stability of the country is preserved, the country has high quality banknotes, we provide high quality banking services to the government. So that's our big picture. Against that big picture, we have to look at the individual households, and we spend a lot of time, as I said, looking at the disaggregated data, and I understand that it's not easy for many people at the moment.
Well, financial markets are factoring in a $1,000 increase per month in mortgage repayments by the end of next year. Would the RBA really raise rates that high and put households under that much stress?
We'll do what's necessary to get inflation back to 2 to 3%. As I said, I think by the end of the year inflation will get to close to 7%, and we need to chart a course to bring it back down. We don't need to get it back down straight away. We've long had a flexible inflation target in Australia. We can look through the swings in inflation, but what we've got to do is make sure that inflation comes back to 2 to 3%. And it's unclear at the moment how far interest rates will need to go up to get that. I'm confident that inflation will come down over time, but we'll have to have higher interest rates to get that outcome, and how much higher remains to be determined.
The RBA's noted that there are external factors helping drive inflation, such as the war in Ukraine, global supply issues. What happens if you raise interest rates and inflation doesn't come down?
I think eventually it will come down. And partly it'll come down because of the global factors. Over the past year, petrol prices in Australia have gone up more than 30%. So even if the current level of petrol prices stays where it is, the rate of change goes from 30% to 0. And that will help bring down the headline rate of inflation. Another thing that's going to help is that the supply side problems in the global economy are being resolved. Seen just recently a big pickup in auto production of cars around the world. The chip producers are responding, so the computer chip prices are coming down. So we're seeing the global economy respond to some of these supply side problems. That will help bring prices down, or at least the rate of inflation down. If oil prices don't keep going up, the inflation rate goes to 0 for those commodities. So inflation will come down for those reasons, but it will also come down because of the higher interest rates. At the moment, the spending pressure in the economy is putting pressure on capacity. We see this in lots of areas, don't we? In the labour market at the moment, almost every business that I speak to says it's very hard to hire workers. We've seen in the infrastructure space, state governments delay some spending because they can't find the resources, and in construction, many firms are at full capacity. So the current rate of spending in the economy is putting pressure on the capacity of the economy, or the ability of the economy to provide the goods and services. Over time, higher interest rates will get a better balance there. And when there's a lot of pressure on capacity, prices go up, and higher interest rates will establish a better balance between spending and the ability of the economy to produce goods and services.